This is The Fresh Pot with Cup of Code, where every episode is a fresh start and every conversation is a perfect blend. Let's get brewing. Good morning, guys.
How is it going?
Good morning.
Back at another lovely episode of The Fresh Pot. We're missing Norm today, though.
Thank goodness.
So hopefully we survive.
I think we'll be fine.
I think we'll be all right.
What are we talking about today?
So I was thinking we could talk about the pros and cons of AI and how we use it in Cup of Code culture.
Perfect.
Go on, Timmy.
So the most popular AI, everybody knows ChatGPT, which is great. It's from OpenAI, and it's really good at kind of mimicking how a human would talk and formulate wordings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for things like social media posting and all that stuff, it's pretty good. Now Google has Bard. So
I haven't used Bard as much. I'm not as familiar
Bard
with
is very similar in terms of like the output, and if history repeats itself with things like meta descriptions in web building back in the day, like meta tag packing, I wouldn't be surprised if in the future Google Chrome, Google in general, kind of favors its own AI for AI generated content. So if you're posting blog material or website copy or anything like that, I wouldn't be surprised if it identifies its own AI driven content and favors that, because that's kind of how the trend goes when it comes to the markup with meta packing everything, which it's fine. I get why it does that, but
Right.
So many people are just so reliant on ChatGPT that they don't realize there's other options out there based on what you need. So you have things like Dolly that does image rendering. I'm a big fan of Together AI. It's really, really good at doing like general kind of rendering of stuff. It does everything from really good. It does pretty good like Python output, some coding stuff, textual generation, all that stuff, like language generation. But yeah, those are my three big ones: is ChatGPT, Bard, and Together AI.
What about you, Nick? Do you
It would
use...
surprise anybody that I only use ChatGPT and Dolly
Oh, okay.
because it does the image generation sometimes.
So
Yeah, I use ChatGPT to make me sound like a human when I'm emailing stuff.
I've
back.
also used ChatGPT to, well, we've all used it to come up with just inspiration when we're naming different sectors like Cup of Code Cares or other fun things that we have.
Glitches,
coming
stitches.
up. Right. I didn't know if I was allowed to say it.
That wasn't ChatGPT. That was Tim GPT.
Yeah. But we would have, if we wouldn't have come up with glitches, stitches, we probably
yeah.
would have put something like that into, what else were we? Oh, we were doing it with the coffee jam refills.
Yeah, it's an idea generator.
It's like an idea generator.
Helps
So
you
you're
think.
not necessarily using it to copy.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of using copied and pasted AI driven content into the production work. I'm a fan of using it to kind of start ideas, or a lot of times you can use it to kind of do the tedious stuff. Like if you need a whole bunch of information in a table, let ChatGPT do it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. The output though, I don't ever like the final output to be the final product. It's not quite
I
human
usually go
enough.
back in and change
Yeah.
things.
It helps me a lot with Monday automations as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it'll tell me step by step on what to do if I'm using Monday.com and then Make at the same time. It'll walk me through steps. And I think that's how you use it as well.
Yeah, I've used it a lot as a content generator, just as a starting point with websites with customers that have trouble coming up with their own wording.
Yeah.
So I can put it in there, get a general idea, throw that on a web page, and then they, read through it and edit it to their liking. But
Yeah.
it's a good starting point at least.
So one thing that ChatGPT actually does well in the coding world is you can throw code that you don't know what it's supposed to do in there, and you can ask it to comment certain lines so you understand what that line of code does. And you can actually ask it to do things like create a README file so that ChatGPT can read the code and kind of output a file to let the user know how to use that code snippet. If it's
okay, that's cool.
Like a WordPress plugin. Like when I make those custom WordPress plugins, I'll just slap the whole plugin code in and I'll be like, can you make a README file? So it explains to the user, like, what do you need to do to make this plugin function? Because I'd rather write the code than type up the documentation.
Absolutely.
So that's another way that I use it.
Have you explored the GPTs inside of ChatGPT?
A little bit. There was one, which one were we messing with like recipe generation and stuff like that?
I've messed with Dolly, and I don't remember what else is there.
Oh boy, there's a ton. There's so many. I've used a resume writer to help out.
Well, before they started putting all these features in, being ran by OpenAI, I remember one time we actually just went right through OpenAI instead of ChatGPT, and I was able to create, like, just using the API, I was able to create a little thing, and you guys might remember, you feed in a little bit of customer information, and then it spits out based on the customer information. Mm-hmm. So, like, ChatGPT is prompted by, like, a spreadsheet almost of the key parts of what your customer needs to have posted. So, if you can work around APIs and you don't need the ChatGPT customer, like, consumer interface, you can do a lot more stuff under the hood if you know how to do that.
Sous Chef.
That's the one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually told Tom about that when he was creating apps to use Sous Chef.
It's all really interesting, and especially now, you can upload like images and documents and all that kind of stuff. Because when we first started messing with ChatGPT, I had to actually make a booklet, I think it's called. Mac makes booklets that you can you can kind of run like code snippets, and I ran a code snippet that would put a input box so you could feed a document into the ChatGPT input, and now all that stuff's built right in, so it's pretty cool.
You guys want to shift in a couple of cares?
Sure.
Code cares.
Mm-hmm. Tim's baby.
Well,
let's not call it that.
We've been
That's
doing
my baby.
Yeah.
We've been doing this stuff for a while, but we've just been doing it because we think it's fun. But really, it does have a lot of benefits to the communities. Everything from our coffee jams to our business spotlights to the things that we do as far as donated time with drone photography, work with nonprofits. We don't really have a place that we can showcase that to let other people reach out to us and be like, hey, I have an organization like this. Can you help?
Mm-hmm. We have a fundraiser coming up. Do you want to be a part of it?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're building a webpage that's going to outline all that stuff, give some examples, and we're going to be able to actually put a name to it, and hopefully more people can find it and more people can get some cool stuff out of us.
Yeah, I'm really excited after our meeting yesterday because we have a lot of really cool things that we want to do with it.
What's your favorite teaser that you want to talk about, the favorite one coming up? If you had to pick just one.
If I had to pick just one. I really like Glitches Stitches.
Is it too soon to talk about what that is?
No. Go ahead.
Take it, Sam.
So Glitches Stitches is going to be this kind of like community closet that we want to start creating, whether it's collecting business attire for young professionals or maybe low-income professionals that are looking for interview clothing but can't really afford it. So we want to be kind of a hub for those types of things. Any sort of clothing drive for holidays and winter and things like that. Brandon wants to do a really cool coat drive for the winter. So it's just going to be almost like a community closet for lots of, we're going to utilize it in a lot of different ways. But my favorite way that I'm looking forward to is for the professional side of things, because there's going to be a lot of other things that run in tandem with that for professionals in our area.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited. But that's all that I can say.
That's just one of the many things that Cup of Coke Cares is planning on working on, and everybody knows that coming up in the holiday season, you're going to see everything from our coloring pages to our tinsel time. And
yes, Eloise is coming back.
Eloise is coming back?
Yes.
Okay.
Very excited for that.
Nice.
Probably like early to mid-November, we'll start collecting tinsel reports.
Start threatening the children.
From the children of central Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And beyond. So. Really, that's one thing that I do really want to do this year is really extend Eloise and tinsel time to like our North Carolina area, New Jersey area too.
That'd be super fun. Well,
yeah.
Tinsel Time kind of started out of like a really spur of the moment idea. Like I think we put that whole thing together in maybe like a week and a half.
If that, yeah.
So it was really just, let's make this work. And now this year.
And see how it's going to work.
Yeah. Now this year we have a little bit more leverage and we have a little bit more time. So we can have some fun with it.
Yeah.
So what are you guys' favorite projects happening on the Cup of Code Cares world? Wow, way to be involved, you two.
Well, Sam kind of took Brandon's on the coat drive.
I did, I'm sorry.
That's not my, it's kind of, I think that one came out of a little bit of a brainchild of both of us, kind of combining efforts there. So the coat drive is my favorite, I think, coming up right now.
Mine is probably next year when we start doing like classes and
that'd be fun.
Like
talk about that.
Interview and helping people with interviews, helping people with finding jobs, classes for social media, helping small business owners learn stuff that they should be doing.
Resume writing.
That's going to be all right in our office, too.
Yeah.
We have a nice big conference area now with the new office space. So if anybody has any kind of topics they'd really like to learn about, just let us know.
Yeah.
Love
And
to
maybe
get
that's
ideas.
something that lives on like the Cup of Code Cares page too, like some sort of form or something like that that people can fill out when
Yep.
they have a need for something. I just think that it'll make Cup of Code kind of like a centralized hub for professionals and maybe even like young professionals that really don't like feel comfortable going to a more well-known like professional space that probably costs a lot of money to get the education. We're gonna kind of bridge that gap for people to have access to the same sort of education just right within Cup of Code.
It's really like a super non-fancy, high-value type of project.
Yeah.
It's no, frills or anything. We're just going to walk in there dressed in our best jorts and hoodies like we always do. But we're going to deliver super decent content. We're going to really try to help people.
Jorts.
Oh, you got to have the jorts.
I hate the jorts.
They're the business jorts.
No such thing.
Please don't say that.
They're the business jorts.
Yep. Doubling down does not make it right.
What do your casual jorts look like then?
You don't even want to know.
No, I don't.
Lovely.
We're going to make a hard shift to talking about people taking over websites and not giving them back.
Oh,
Ooh, website hijacking.
yeah. There's a few
There's the word.
There you go.
website hijacking. There's definitely a few companies that we've run into that do things differently, I say, than we do. When you go with a company like that, usually you're paying a monthly, I guess, fee just to have your website. And at the end of the day, if you decide you want to move that website somewhere else, they technically own it. They own your domain if you didn't buy it beforehand, and you're kind of left with nothing.
It's really like the Wix or the Canvas of the world, where you're pretty much paying to have access to features that are specific to that platform. And if you leave that platform, you leave everything behind. So I get why people use that stuff because it's super convenient, maybe super cost effective, maybe just a really good salesman. But you can attest to recently some of the headaches that you ran into.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just to do your due diligence when shopping around. There's a lot of companies that do what we do, so it's not always, hey, we're the end point, but I would say do your research and find out when you find a company. And at the end of the day, is the website yours? Is the domain yours? Can you move things if you decide you want to? Otherwise, you might get stuck where you've had a website for 5 years, you want to move companies, and now you have nothing.
We see a lot of this when you see like super big, just like generic national companies that go out. You don't really see this as much in local companies. So that's one thing to keep in mind is, I don't know, you might find a really good deal where it's like a whole website for $4.99, act now, but in the long run, you might not be getting a deal. You might actually just be buying time until you have to invest in a full website anyway. And there's, like Brandon said, there's a ton of really good companies out there that do exactly what we do. Like, we can't service all the businesses, so, shop around, find what's right for you. Some web design companies might be a better fit for your style, and just, weigh out your options, but always make sure that you look at the fine print. You want to own your stuff.
Yeah, and we're always here to help if you have a question. Even if you're going somewhere else, honestly, if somebody called me and said, I'm going with X, Y, or Z.
What do you think?
And
We would
here's
definitely tell them.
maybe the contractor, here's the wording. What do you think of this? I'd answer it.
I mean, it's no point having an ego now because you never know if they're going to have a bad experience 2 years from now, and then they're going to come back to us and be like, hey, you know what? You guys helped me out. I want to go with you now. So no place in scaling businesses for an ego.
Maybe that's one of our first classes,
Maybe.
talking about the best way to get a website. Maybe not just using us, but like the things that you should look out for.
Like
Yeah,
how
just
to
in
shop
general.
for a website,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's customers that come to us and we're not the best fit for what they're looking for.
Sure.
And, we're not going to just take their money if we're not going to provide what they want. Mm-hmm. We've done that a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
So a topic that we can discuss if everybody would like to.
boy.
Let's talk a little bit about workplace culture. What are some of the things that we really enjoy about our workplace culture now that we have a super fun office space and we have people that are working from all different remote locations?
Yeah, we've been in our office for a while now, so.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the fun things that we really try to implement when it comes to workplace culture, just to give a creative, fun, and pretty much stress-free relatively stress-free environment.
Yeah.
So one thing I really like is our completely open floor space.
I was going to say, I love that.
Yeah. Wide open.
Yeah, I was unsure at first about it, but I think it's.
I think because I've never been in like a workspace like that necessarily, but I think it's maybe becoming more normal to have an open creative space like that. Because even when we were at Gilson last week and they took us into their like graphic design area, it's completely open, just like our office is. So I feel like that kind of breeds a space for creativity because none of us, like, we're all kind of within arm's reach of each other.
Yeah,
to be bouncing ideas off of each other literally all day.
Mm-hmm. It's really nice. Just gives a really good vibe, good environment. You don't feel like you're closed in.
Yeah.
So
Bouncing ideas and Nerf darts all day long.
Yeah, Nick's a child.
Ideas and darts all day
all
long.
day.
That's right.
I get shot in the face about 40 times a day.
You deserve it.
Yep.
I didn't say I didn't.
Marks have been left.
Yeah. But aside from our new office, and they have. Aside from our new office, we have the ability and we take advantage of things like we can work from home. Like, we don't have to have a set start time, a stop end time, a set day of the week. Like, you know, there's life comes up, things happen.
Absolutely.
Life first mentality, just, you know, get the work done based on deadlines, not on time clocks.
Well, and I think when you have a culture like that too, it also like breeds more productivity in all of us because we're not stressed out having to clock in a certain amount of hours every day and then also fit in the personal stuff. Like what was Norm today? The roto rooter showed up early.
Yeah.
That's literally no problem. See you later.
Yeah.
Best of luck with your
been days-
roto rooter.
Yeah, there's been days probably between the normal, what you say, working hours.
Yeah.
Just not things aren't flowing, but maybe you get home at 6 o'clock when everyone else is done eating dinner, and now like it just
Now
starts,
I'm going to take an hour or two
take
and
3 hours,
log
and
on.
I'm just knocking things out because it's just a way sometimes.
And you can do
The work-
that then because all of your like responsibilities are done. Whatever happened with your kid in the day is handled and taken care of, or your family, and then you can really I feel like focus completely on the job then when you have that sort of environment.
So you're about a year in now from going from a clocking your time job to a kind of more of a free-flowing deadline-based job. What were some struggles for you trying to get into the groove of that type of work style?
Not constantly having to ask you guys if I can do this or should I do this or can I do that. I feel like every time I asked a question, you were like, you can do whatever you want.
I remember
So that was the hardest thing for me, was like getting away from feeling like I had to ask permission and for approval of even just my own schedule.
I think we kind of set you free pretty early on.
It was almost overwhelming, I think, at first, because I had never experienced that sort of like autonomy in a job before necessarily. So now that I'm used to it, I would never change it. I would never go back.
I remember some mornings we'd get text messages, hey, I'm running about 10 minutes late. And we're like, okay.
Right. And now I don't send them.
Thanks for the update.
Slow down, make it 15. Don't
Yeah.
rush.
Yep.
But,
Or if I felt like I needed to work from home because, my son was sick or something like that, I felt like I had to send this book of this is why, and you can check and make sure that he's really sick, and I can bring a doctor's note if you need it, and that you literally didn't not care, but you did not care about how my time was being used.
yeah.
And I feel like that's allowed me to spread my wings creatively, where before I was feeling a bit capped on my creativity because I was so concerned with just clocking hours, and now I don't have to worry about that.
One thing to consider when you're working with creative people in a creative field is not everybody is their most creative from 9 to 5.
No.
Like me personally, 10 o'clock at night till 2 in the morning, and I am just a rock star.
Yeah, I'm more of a night owl. I feel like my ideas start to really stew
Yeah.
I remember
at that
the
time.
early years, a few times, 3, 4 in the morning, you and I were texting.
Yeah.
Something happened and we were both.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
That's just, I don't know. My mind works a certain way when it's late at night for some reason. Everybody's different, and that's why we are very focused on being deadline based and not hourly based. Mm-hmm. And you're big on workplace culture. I know that was one thing that you pushed from the beginning.
You guys pretty much talked about it all already, but yeah, past jobs have made me realize that culture is more important than most businesses think. So one of my favorite things to do is play basketball when Sam's going in to do her voiceovers.
Yes, that's right. But then we take things like that are like kind of funny in the office, and we were talking about like making a video out of somehow rigging like a coded thing to play the NBA
Oh yeah, the
theme song
Arduino.
when I walk in there, or so like you utilize things that are relevant to what we already do anyways, and we just kind of like play with it.
Everything's
Fun content.
It's just fun then too,
Everything's
and you're
content.
still like at the same time learning.
Yeah. Yep. Everything's content worthy. Mm-hmm. Somebody's gonna find it valuable
Absolutely.
because it's really not all about selling. It's about entertaining.
Yeah, I think you said that in the last episode that
People don't want to just be sold our stuff all the time. They want to laugh and they
educate
want
or entertain.
yeah.
Do you ever talk about the Power Ranger thing?
Oh, how we got a sale because I bought a Dragon Dagger on eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a video one night. I'm just like calling Nick up, just fake calling him, like, Nick, what's our budget for office supplies? And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. And then it shows a screenshot of me buying a Dragon Dagger on eBay from the Power Rangers. And then I play it, and then a customer from the Sales Grove area actually reached out to us after seeing that on Facebook. Like, I saw that video and I had to reach out to you guys.
There it is.
So
And that, like, not that we don't love showing off our incredible websites that we make and all of, like, the meat of the business, obviously, but those fun little things are what keep us memorable when people want to start us like that.
yeah, under the button-up shirts and khaki pants, everybody that's in a decision-making position at a business is just a normal person. They just want to act like themselves. And sometimes they can't act like themselves. So if they see a company like us who's just kind of like, hey, this is what you're going to get. We're not going to pull the wool over your eyes. You know, what you see on this video is what you see in your sales pitch. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Kind of comforting, kind of trustworthy. And then people also can see us and say, well, I don't think you're my style, and we don't waste our time.
Right.
And that's where Norm comes in, because he goes to those people.
He gives us the best fighting chance.
I don't know if I go that far.
He gives us a chance.
I'll take it.
Damn it.
I'm trying to
We love
defend him
Norm.
in his absence.
What do you guys think about talking a little bit about a small business that has to focus on scalability before things start running out of control? Preparing for growth.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And it's really easy to put it on the back burner until it's too late.
Yeah. if
So it's
you-
like happening already. Yeah.
It's super easy because somebody else does it, which is Nick.
Yes.
He's been our backbone of preparing for growth. So it's a job I couldn't handle.
It's one of my favorite words, scalability, because
It
it's
is.
also like one of the things that can ruin a business if you grow too fast. I know that sounds crazy, but if you do grow too fast and you can't handle the work that's coming in, you start to make a bad reputation for yourself, and then you start losing the work that was coming in. It goes in reverse almost. There's a lot of organizing that goes into it, making sure that everybody can handle what you're putting on them,
And making sure it's repeatable.
Yeah.
which, yeah. Trying to find a mainstream that's good for the customer, but also good for the business that keeps you going, and you can grow tenfold or plan at least to grow, and who you're going to hire and what the next position is. And
In terms of scalability, do you tend to look more at revenue or more in consistency of growth? Growth meaning everything from employee retention to contracts if you're a contract-based business. Like how do you plan for scalability on the asset side?
I think there's both of those go into it. Like you, of course, want your revenue to go up, but I think the main part is making sure there's enough people and personnel to go into it, and making sure if you have those contracts that you have enough people to do the work. And there's just a lot of moving parts of it. Revenue is one part. That's how you can measure it, I guess. But yeah.
Do we have a chart? Pull that up, Jamie. Okay.
Here's my least favorite question for months was Nick coming to me going, how many more websites can you do? How many can you do in a month? I was like, I don't know.
That's a tricky question. You and I have different outlooks on how
Yeah.
we pitch websites because you look at it as a full project and I look at it as an hourly breakdown based on work that needs to be done. So, again, that's different thought processes to get to the same endpoint, and
Did you ever get
that drove you crazy.
Did you ever get an answer?
No, still waiting for the answer.
So rather than the number of websites that you can do, it's the number of hours you can dedicate to website building, because you might have a 40-hour website build that you can bang out in like 2 weeks, or you might be able to do like 4 10-hour website builds in a week because of the content.
Okay.
And we're all learning, like together, but separately. Like I've changed that question to go, hey, can you handle more websites?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, let's keep her going then. Or do we need somebody else? Like, do we need to pass Tim some? And that's each department. Like, I try to ask them, can you handle more? Or do we need to bring somebody else on?
Right.
And that's how you then figure out what the next position you need is. Mm-hmm. It's just a slow, we don't do it slowly, but it's at a good pace to where we can keep up with it.
Well, and I think having somebody like you in charge of that for us is nice, because I really appreciate that you ask. You don't just expect. You say, can you handle this? And you allow for the transparency of somebody to say, no, I can't handle that.
And then he says, too bad. Do it anyway.
Oh, I say that to Tim.
He does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do try to do that with you, Sam. Like, I don't want to add too much stuff on, because you're not working from, let's say, 9 to 5.
Right.
You might be working at 6 at night or 9 in the morning. Like, can you handle this in your workload?
Yep.
Not, can you handle this between 9 and 5?
Yeah.
So, I just want to make sure we have stuff going on every day. That's
Yeah.
another, like, this actually helps that.
Mm-hmm.
By this, do you mean the podcast or me? You pointed towards me.
I didn't point towards you. I meant the podcast.
You don't help. You do not help that.
No, you actually are the biggest hindrance on scalability.
Yeah. And also the second biggest advertising platform. Your shirt is next to our billboards when it comes to advertising sizes.
Timothy,
Lord.
not on the podcast.
Pulled.
Pull it up, Jamie. What's his weight?
Good God.
Good God, y'all.
Tim, anything big going on in your life?
Anything at all? You want to talk about? You want to get off your
Doesn't
chest?
have to be work.
I'm going to start getting back into some of the low grade app development, mainly on the styling side.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we were asking you about.
UI, UX.
Oh yeah, the UI and the UX.
Got to have the UI and the UX.
Why not?
Or as I call it, UX.
And that's where we end.
That's a sound I never want to hear,
Can we
actually,
please
ever
Next
again.
time.
Can we please just use that clip?